We're gonna dive right in.
You don't have an intro?
Nah, I'm still working on all that shit. This is night talk. We just go right into it. Y'all, I don't know what I'm gonna name the title at this point, but whatever it is, y'all gonna know what we talking about. We diving in right now. Let's go. My baby, she with. Well, I put her on JP first.
He puts me on everything.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. So
yeah, she with JP tough. So
he's the GOAT.
What do you understand by equality, Sophie? What does it mean to you?
Freedom.
Can you be more? Is it equality of opportunity? Is it equal pay across the board? Is it something more than that?
I think equality is better for everyone. I think,
okay.
you know, I'm really delighted, you know, I love my job because it's an optimistic and a hopeful job, which is about creating more choices for people. I'm interested in people being able to have different choices and having equality of outcome.
Aha, well, so you're going to have choices and equality of outcome. What if people choose different things, which is what they've been doing in Scandinavia? So the Scandinavian countries have moved more towards gender equality than any other countries, and the personality differences in Scandinavia have increased rather than decreased, and the proportion of women who are choosing STEM fields has decreased rather than increased. So as cultures become more gender neutral, the number of women who choose STEM fields decreases.
What do you mean by STEM fields?
So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you let men and women make their choices, what actually happens is that they specialize in different situations, and you don't get equality of outcome.
Could they not have been programmed to have those views from the moment we raise them and give boys Lego and construction?
No, because what happens is that as countries get more egalitarian, which means there's less programming of that sort, the differences get larger, not smaller. And the scientific data on that is clear, and most of it was generated by people who have a left-leaning bias, so you can't blame it on conservative scientists. It was a shock to everyone to find that out.
Sophie,
I think the difference between
that went
Jordan
right over their head. They didn't hear what he just said.
maybe him. I don't think her. Because she's so quick to respond. She ain't even like, when you hear shit like that, that's heavy. You gotta like digest what the fuck.
Yeah, how do you respond to it? Because he said so much information.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't just something that you could just respond to right away.
Yeah.
Like let it
and
sink
it's a
in.
fact. It's like it's not an opinion.
He said a lot of different things.
Yeah.
He brought up different studies, scientific fact that when left, men and women, when left to their own choices, they choose this way. So equal outcome is not going to happen. And that's okay.
Yep. Yep.
It was a shock to everyone to find that out.
Sophie,
I think the difference between Jordan and me is that we look at evidence and we lean towards different theories. So Jordan's theory is very much evolutionary, you know, that there are inherent differences in men and women. Mine is very much more.
But it's not a theory though. He looked at this shit.
That is a fact.
He looked at
that
this shit.
There's biological characteristic, personality. There's so many differences.
It's not a theory. Men do different shit. Women do different shit.
They think different.
It could be tracked back to like the beginning of time, where Neanderthals walking around. Men are out here protecting. Women are out here taking care of the family.
Exactly, like she's talking about from an emotional standpoint already, which is a woman thing to do. Oh, this is just his theory. This is my theory. No, like this is a fact.
Yeah.
There are inherent differences in men and women. Mine is very much more social role theory, if you like, and that men and women are taking on different roles due to the expectations that society puts on them. And it's interesting that Jordan frequently cites Scandinavian countries where they've made more, like there's nowhere in the world that women are equal, but Scandinavia has made the most progress towards shared parenting, etc.
Yep.
That said, it's not done yet. There's nowhere in the world where this is done yet.
But it's having the opposite effect that the gender equality types predicted. Opposite, not the same.
No,
and it isn't a theory, it's actually data driven by tens of thousands of surveys and the best scientific literature on the topic. It's not a theory, and I didn't come about it because of my political perspective. I looked at the data. What it showed was that as countries become more egalitarian, the differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
So what I'm interested
and then that means a lot. because she's trying to dispute it, saying it's not done yet. But it not being done yet is irrelevant.
It's already showing
It's
which
irrelevant.
way
Like
it's
if
going.
it's going this way, it's not just for some reason gonna dip down and go the other fucking way. Like we're headed in this direction. Clear, concise evidence we're heading in this fucking direction. So why would we think it's gonna do something otherwise? Because we gotta take your feelings into consideration.
So here's the study. Here's the data that the study provided. But she's so focused on wanting this outcome that she wants that she is willing to overlook that by giving equal opportunity, you get even a more different outcome. But
And then like the discussion is nonsensical because there's no way you can get equality of opportunity unless there's some authoritarian role that's going to delegate these opportunities to everybody equally. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and who would be the least happiest? Women. Like, women start getting jobs in engineering and construction and manual labor, they're going to be the first ones to be like, no, thank you.
The differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
So what I'm interested in is data.
She didn't listen to anything he just said. So what I'm interested, who gives a fuck about what the hell you interested in? We're trying to get to a solution, trying to figure out what the fuck this is. What does it matter that you interested in that?
Women grow. They don't shrink.
So what I'm interested in is
anything.
data and analysis as well, and I'm particularly interested in the ones presented, such as the ones by the University of Southern California.
You got facts? I got facts too.
Which discovered that change towards gender equality is actually being slowed by beliefs that are legitimizing social inequalities on the basis of sex. And I'm also interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really
First
also
of all,
very
do
much
not
interested.
compare yourself to Jordan. The disrespect. Do not compare yourself to Jordan. There is levels, okay? There is levels, sis.
I don't like her.
She just
her position.
He looks at data. I look at data. No,
He
not
looks
what
at data as fact, and you look at data and you put your feelings in.
You look at one piece of data, and that's what you base your theory on.
Yeah, fuck a theory. Looking for facts.
So interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really also very much interested in studies like the analysis that was done by the American Psychological Society, which looked at 45 analysis of whether there's sex difference over 20 years, and its conclusion was that men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of leadership, but what it did find was that media depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh God, so it's
but even if it perpetuates misconceptions, that is irrelevant to what he's talking about. We're not talking about misconceptions. We're talking about facts, and what Jordan Peterson just gave you was not a misconception. When you minimize the amount of influence you put on fucking genders, they're gonna fucking go about their day the way they feel like they need to, according to how they're genetically built. You know what I'm saying? Men take this way, women take that way. There's no misconception about that. She's talking about noise right now. We're not focused on noise. We're focused on like the meat and potatoes of this shit. So what the fuck is she talking about?
I don't know, but Jordan said
He said he about to get it up fucking ass. Like, all right.
Hold on.
All right.
I got data for that ass.
Fundamentally different, perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh God, so it's my fault.
So, no, well, you're leaving soon. It's
Men and women actually are more the same than they are different. But the issue is that small differences at the population level can turn into very large differences at the extreme. So, for example, men and women are broadly similar with regards to aggression, although men tilt a little bit more towards aggression. So that if you picked a random person out of the population, male and female, and you guessed that the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100...
I would think it'd be more than that, but that's like
60-40
is pretty much the same.
That the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100 most aggressive people, they're all male. And that's why the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male. And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities in the humanities and social sciences are female.
Yeah.
Are we going to equalize that? And men work longer hours. They work more dangerous jobs. They're more likely to move. They're more likely to work outside. They're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable. They make more money for those reasons. And that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to address it.
But before she even responds, I'm like, bro, if somebody's telling me that,
what can you say to that?
What the can you say? Because it's a fact. You have to look this shit on general scale. Men do this, women do that. The majority of the time.
She's so stuck on her her theory. She's so stuck on that. But that's when you lose, when you don't listen, to learn, when you don't listen to understand. You just have this idea, and that's all that you're worried about is data that's going to back that idea up.
Right.
Because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to address...
I'm surprised by how Buddy's moving, too. Like, if somebody told me that, I'm like, bro, it makes sense. It makes sense.
It really does.
But people get their feelings too involved in this shit. This is all this does is highlight how soft society is. People are putting their feelings before anything.
But this kind of goes back to some of the other topics that you and I talk about all the time. But just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I have to agree with something that's related to women that makes no sense. Mm-hmm. Like, just because I'm a woman and I want equal opportunity. If it makes more sense that men work more dangerous jobs, that work longer hours, whatever, they get paid more. That just makes sense. Just because I'm not a man, that statistic does not have to offend me.
If I was to put what she's talking about into practice, literally to equalize outcome, we have to put same amount of men, same amount of women in every position.
Well, first of all, we can't, because women are the only gender that can have children.
Facts.
So you off the rip can't do that. You can't. Because women have to have the child, and they are physically not going to be capable of working for X amount of time before or after. And if they are in manual labor or a job that requires hours, who is going to birth the baby and take care of the baby?
Like, the world was programmed to be a certain way. It was.
Genetically. Biologically.
Basically fight nature. Fight nature. You know what I'm saying?
But we can't.
My feelings is hurt, and I don't like the way this is.
It's because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to address...
I was just going to say, Sophie, can you come back on that?
What I'm trying to equalise is opportunity and choice.
Fine,
that's
equalised
You
choice.
agree on that.
But we won't get equal outcome that way.
And I think that what happens then, nobody knows, because we've never done it yet.
We do know. We know what's happened in Scandinavia.
What does it mean we don't know? We pretty much have...
Because she didn't listen.
We pretty much have equality of opportunity right now.
No. And there is a 9% pay difference, but it's because women choose different jobs.
Nobody knows, because we've never done it yet.
We do know. We know what's happened in Scandinavia.
But it's not fully got there yet.
No, but it's going in the opposite direction that everyone predicted, and strongly.
I think one of the things I loved about Jordan's book, which I speed read last night, so forgive me, Jordan, I've not read every line. But one of my favourite rules in Jordan's book is Rule 9, which says, assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't.
What does that?
Do
And
that.
I think that in a country where men outnumber women by 2 to 1 in Parliament, in local government, where women's voices...
And women outnumber men in nursing.
But okay, women outnumber that in nursing because they typically choose those jobs. But like these elected positions, government positions, high-ranking positions in the government, they're typically male. You know what I'm saying? But that's like government enforced. For me, when I hear shit like that, it's because men had the head start over women. But government and society are doing their due diligence to catch all that up. Like, at this point in society, women have never been more powerful than they are at this point right now in life. It's going to continue to do so. So, like, what the is she talking about? Like, there's nothing in order for society or whomever to put what she wants to do into play, we have to fucking rip it down, start it over, and put women here and men here. But that's just an irrational thing to do.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to catch up. Women were disadvantaged before, but they're not as disadvantaged. I wouldn't even say women are disadvantaged at this point. Like, if a woman wants to do something, she can do it.
100%. You want to be in politics. You want to be in anything. You
Point
can do
blank
it.
period. Because you have equality of opportunity. You know what I'm saying? There may be more men there now, but at the point of society we're in right now, if you see women putting in to be a firefighter, DEA, attorneys, all types of shit, if they got the work ethic to do that, they're gonna get picked up like that. Because that's the point of society we're in. So what the fuck we arguing about?
Like, yeah, if
Feelings?
you want a high level job, you're going to compete with men for that job.
Facts,
so you better
because men are already there.
Yep. So you better be ready to compete. But as a woman, it's not like, oh, poor me, it's going to be harder. Cool, it's going to be harder, but then I'm still going to get it. So, because I can. The opportunity is there.
By 2-to-1 in Parliament, in local government, where women's voices are not equally represented in media, where our education systems still are teaching boys and girls ideas of pink and blue.
Who's the majority of the teachers?
Women! What?
Our education systems still are teaching boys and girls ideas of pink and blue.
Yep.
What I'm trying to do is work with thousands of optimistic, hopeful people for change.
Okay.
To change
Just get very
what,
quiet
though?
through this, Michael. I'm going to make you put
what?
you under a bit of pressure. Do forgive me. I'm going to come to the calls in a moment. Your boss called the gender pay gap a burning injustice. Is it?
Yes, it is, because there should be inequality of opportunity. There needs to be the same rights. But you know, something
Okay.
that surprised
outcome,
me,
quality of
that
outcome.
neither of you, and
Go
the
on.
quality of outcome, sure, all of that. But the one
It's
thing
not
both...
the same. You can't say all of that.
Yeah, not-
It's not the same.
Yes, there should
It's
be
not the
equality of
same.
opportunity, and there is more than ever before.
You cannot. It's impossible to have equality of outcome. That is impossible.
and
Go
the
on.
quality of outcome, sure, all of that. But the one thing both of you haven't
prove a
mentioned
point.
is the biological difference, which unfortunately affects women's career prospects, whether we like
Babies
it or
and
not.
so on, yeah.
Why,
Babies.
unfortunately?
And that does cause a problem. You know, if I were to take a sabbatical from a corporation for a while, it's going to set me back slightly. And it is a problem that biologically it's women who have babies, not men.
Sure,
Why
but
is
that's
that
why we are the-
unfortunate?
If that woman wants to have a f***ing baby, she got to take that in consideration.
But he said unfortunately. Like, no, because women, I don't care how alpha you are, how much of a career woman you are, we are biologically meant to have children, and that gives us the most gratification. Don't have a kid yet, but that's been proven through time, through studies, that women who are career women who don't have kids in their 40s are the most unhappy. So that is not unfortunate. It is what it is. It doesn't have to be one way or another. This is how it is. And this is actually how women get happiness.
It doesn't make
This
any sense.
it's not even a conversation, right? It's like what is even being talked about? There's more opportunity than ever. Cool. We all agree that equality of opportunity is good. We all agree. Great. Equality of outcome is not going to happen. It's just not, because we are different. We work different careers that pay different.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And we're biologically different, so yes, women have to take time off, which does
But
set you back.
They don't have to. Women just totally within her right to not have any children and pursue a career from here on out. You know what I'm saying?
And if the majority of women do that, what the is going to happen to our society?
But I'm saying, but it's within their right. They have the opportunity to do that. They have
Yeah,
the opportunity.
birth control,
they have the
whatever you
opportunity
want.
to get that outcome. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? But then, all right, I didn't have a child. Well, then, if you want a child, this is what you got to fucking deal with. And that's the reason why men can do what they can do and women do what they do.
It's just reality.
Reality.
It's just what it is.
People fight reality.
Because they just want, why? We want equality of outcome. Well, you don't even know how that could be achieved, because equality of opportunity and leaving people up to their own choices has actually led to the opposite.
Thanks.
So I would just ask them, how do you think that's going to happen? How? Like, realistically, in society, how is outcome exactly going to be 50% men
I'm
and
saying,
women?
like, they're gonna have
It's
to mandate that. They're gonna have to force women to do what they don't want to do and force men to do what they don't want to do to get equality of outcome.
and then force women not to have kids, because that's gonna, if you're running a corporation and you have responsibilities, you can't be gone for 3 months.
Yeah. And that's why the pay gap is the way it is. Man, they'll never got to be a home. He can work the entire time. They'll never got to take no time off.
Nope.
None.
Nope.
None.
Biologically, it's women who have babies, not men.
Sure, but that's why we are the Women's Equality Party is the only party in the UK that's got policies around shared parental leave.
She's so political.
We're the only party that has got fully costed plans for universal free childcare. What we're saying is that
it doesn't matter. You still got to be pretty. You still got to give birth. You got to, you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't.
Like you give birth, you're out for for 8 weeks. You can't work out. You can't do physical activity for 8 weeks. Period. Like.
What she's talking about is not really what the it is. There's already policies and regulations put in place to lessen that burden of a woman needing to be away from work because they have to give birth to a child.
Yeah, and like childcare, that's been around.
Been around for the longest.
But it doesn't matter. There's still a period of time that
you can't
work. You at least cannot work 70 hours a week, and those high-paying jobs don't care that you're about to deliver. If there's a conference or something that you need to be at, you need to be there.
Facts.
So
for universal free childcare. What we're saying is that
we're trying to change the outcomes, and also men are joining our party. Men who are really tired. I'm sure I'm going to have a word with Michael. I'm sure you want the application.
Okay. She hasn't made one valid point. I'm trying to. She hasn't made one valid point yet.
Our party, men who are really tired. I'm sure I'm going to have a word with Michael, because I am sure you want the application.
Okay,
we take joint membership.
Forgive me, I want to take one call if you'll forgive me, because time is really
terrible.
short. I owe it to the viewers to hear their views on this.
We've got Salim calling from Manchester.
Salim, good morning.
Hi Matthew, how you doing?
I'm very well, loving it. I'm pig in heaven today. What do we think about equality? Will it ever happen, Salim?
I was going to say I thought it was going to happen, but after listening to Jordan, he's swayed my opinion.
Why did you think it was going to happen?
Because I think we're going to become more cognitive creatures, and jobs are going to be more about mental skills.
Technology.
But then I've been visited schools, and I work in STEM. I'm a software developer, and the number of women doing software development hasn't increased. I would have thought they would have increased more, but I went into secondary school to do GCSE
women
IT
don't like
stuff.
those jobs.
And there's very, very few girls doing IT, and I was thinking IT is the future, and the schools are pushing for more girls to go into IT.
They don't want to do it.
But there's only I visited about 8 schools.
Can I just, sorry, Salim, can I just because I had 30 seconds. Sophie's idea, actually, representations in the media could be affecting such choices. Geeks, we see geeks, bespectacled blokes.
You think the media has any control over how much money I want to make? You know what I'm saying?
I don't care how much the media is put a construction worker as a dude. I don't want to be in the sun doing anything. Period. I don't care if it pays me $1 million. I don't want to do it. So
it's crazy.
Bad hair on computers. That's what tech means, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because I think actually that one of the other things we want to do is to have a look at curriculums, to have more female role models, to encourage girls, because so long as we still see STEM as a boys' area that we're trying to get girls into, it's not going to work. We need to do the work we're doing on care, get more boys thinking about, nursing, teaching, more role models for boys in schools.
Why?
And that's the way you want to do.
Programs like EastEnders.
Why would we do that?
Because she's stuck on this stupid shit. Even if they did do that, if they got men, they got a man to try to push this more feminine role onto men, it's not going to work. It's not. It may make a little bit of change, but it's not going to make it enough to where it's going to change the whole trajectory of where men pursue whatever it is they want to do.
Just like, they get women, construction workers and firefighters and. That's still not going to make the majority of women, just because they have now a role model that's cool, that's a firefighter. That's not enough to make the majority of women start to choose more risky careers. It's just not going to happen.
There's nothing you can do.
There's always going to be that small percentage. There's going to be the men that are more nurturing, that live in a more feminine energy. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's going to be women that are more alpha, that are going to be in high risk job, that are going to be corporate CEOs, politicians, and there's still a representation of that, but that is a smaller percentage of women.
And they have the equal opportunity to pursue those.
They're trying to push these ideas that are not reality. It's just, this sounds good, so we're just going to all get behind it because it has the word equality.
They're trying to do what makes them feel right. But reality don't give a about feelings.
No.
Facts don't give a about feelings. It is what it is, and people need to wake up to that shit, man.
But if more people just started using their brain, what makes sense? Does it make sense that a person that does a riskier job and works longer hours gets paid more? That makes sense. Does it make sense that a person that needs to be able to leave, works a less dangerous job, works less hours, makes less? Like, what is wrong with that? If you choose that job, cool. But if you want to choose to be in construction, to be a politician, to be a CEO of a company, you can do that as a woman.
And it's like weird too. It's like no one feels pressured to pursue whatever job they're pursuing. I doubt anybody feels pressured to pursue a specific job, right? So now we're fighting how things naturally occur.
And what people naturally want to choose. Like, I'm going to go to college, I'm interested in social studies, versus I want to go to college, I'm interested in science and engineering. Now we want to, like, force people to, because of their gender, to go against what they want to do to try to equalize things.
To equalize outcome.
And it's, we're talking about something that's not going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
I think with anything, with any minority, right? Like, if you might have to work harder to get to what you want, right? You're in a minority group and you might need to work harder to get to that job that you want. You're a woman, you might need to work harder. Whatever kind of, differences that might make it harder for you. Like, it is an open marketplace where all things are equal and people compete. So yes, some people have some advantages. So if you don't have those advantages, you're going to have to compete against the people that do. But that's just reality of life. It is what it is. You can't take those advantages away from people. So guess what? Work harder.
Because they're trying to reset the system, make everything equal. But that's logically, it's irrational. There's nothing that's going to happen to do. Nothing can be done to accomplish that.
And nobody would be less happy than women. Women are going to be the first people to be like, no, we want to have kids. We get joy out of this.
Anyway, I think we're all done.
We get the point, yeah. His wig has got to go.
Yeah, it looks pretty crazy.
That looks crazy as hell.
That looks crazy. Anyway.
Jordan Peterson is the GOAT. Let's just talk about how, he has so much he can say, and he sits there quiet and poised and waits to speak when he has something to say. And it's so sad that you're not listening. Or whoever's not listening. He's the GOAT.
He's the human calculator, man. He can calculate any fucking situation and spit it back at you with like a logical...
easy to understand way. Here's an example. Because examples make it easy for people who are not on Jordan Peterson's level when he can spit data at you and complicated words and terms. Here's an example of how A plus B does not equal C.
Yeah.
He's the one.
Yeah.
If you guys are not tuned in to Jordan Peterson.
They are. The crowd I got, they definitely are. There's a lot of motherfuckers that hate his ass, but I haven't come across the
How could you?
I haven't come across that yet.
He's actually compassionate. He actually wants what's best for society, men and women. He's not leaning any way, whatever. Like, it's...
I'm waiting to come across a video that will make me think differently about JP. You know what I'm saying? So from all y'all that give me the pushback saying, don't go down that JP rabbit hole, send me something that, will give me a different perspective, because everything I've seen from him
makes sense.
It's logical. Whether I like it or not, it's f***ing logical. You know what I'm saying? So I'm waiting on that.
Yeah, when are we going to do that? Just because, you know, you might be part of that group that is being talked about, part of that minority or part of whatever. If it makes sense, it makes sense. It's okay. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I have to just be against men getting paid more to do riskier jobs, work longer hours.
Yeah.
How about let's use your brains?
Yep. All right. Well,
we talked for a long
so
time.
we got for that one. This video is 40 minutes long. I'm gonna chop it down.
You have to. We do this all the time. Just like we talk about things.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, man, that's it. That's all I got. So say bye, babe.
Peace out.
Peace.